There we go. We are live. Welcome, coaches. This is Coach Ron Mackey. I'm here with Drew Piscopo, Coach Drew Piscopo, and we're doing another live clinic. Thank y'all for joining us. If this is your first time joining us, this is my YouTube channel. I put out a video every Saturday at 10:30, so if that's something you would like, please hit the subscribe button below. And if we sound okay and you can see everything, please give us a thumbs up to let us know that we're doing everything sounds good and everything. And this is Coach's second time here, and the reason why, one, he loves being here, and two, a lot of y'all have asked where the previous clinic is in the videos, and there's a reason why it's not there, not because I don't like you, it's because I'm an idiot and I accidentally deleted it. So once y'all started asking me where that clinic was, and I figured out that I was an idiot and I deleted it, I got on the phone with Coach, and he was gracious enough to come back and do another clinic. So the first thing we're going to go over, and a lot of y'all have asked, is the mesh concept. So we're going to go over the mesh concept again. So Coach, if you could, walk us through mesh at a 2x2.
Okay, yeah. All right, I'll get rid of this. All right, so our 2x2 formation is called ACE. And so I'll draw it up for you. This one's about it. Try this one. Y is on the ball, Z is off the ball, H is off the ball, and the X is on the ball. And then we call the tailback the F. So if you can see that too, let us know. So basically when we run mesh, our two outside guys have corner routes, but it's really more of a capped out. So it's a 6-step bending out, looks kind of like that. And so the inside foot's up with our receivers, and we literally teach them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Plant at 6, climb at 7, and then try and get flat. At on 8 and bend this thing out. If you ever get like a press corner or an outside leverage type corner, and they're tighter, we can turn it into a true corner and try and throw is going to be more vertical. So if you ever hear like Mike Leach talk about it, he calls it a corner. And if you ever see those guys draw it up, they draw it up as corners. Technically, it is a corner, but the way it's thrown and the way it looks more on tape, it's more like a capped out. So I don't teach anything flat. I think we talked about this last time on the clinic too. So I don't teach any kind of out like that. I don't like the idea of my receiver running to 10 yards, really beating the drums, and then planting a foot and getting flat. I think it takes a little bit too long. Especially with our kids. I was telling Coach Mackey, I guess, last time I was here too, we have one receiver that's pretty good with us, and he went to the Nike opening regional combine, and he ran a 4.9. And he's the best receiver I have, and he will probably go somewhere because he's 6'2", 190 pounds, runs really good routes, had over 1,000 yards receiving last year, was near the top of the state as juniors go. And I don't like him doing that, because even my second fastest kid or something like that out here, it just takes too long. So that's why I don't do it. Also, I've heard, I've talked to a couple different college coaches around there too that really like that. They feel like that's easier to undercut as a corner. Like if it's rounded, it's easier to dive on it. I think it's easier to undercut it if it's flatter. Yeah. So I'm the exact opposite, because I think if you run at them, and then as soon as if you're playing corner, you see your receiver do this,
they jump it.
Right, you start to come down on it. Whereas if you're coming full speed at it and then you start to roll it, it's a lot harder to jump it. Plus, you don't know, when it's rounded a little bit, it's not necessarily clear where that thing's
and the quarterback can throw them into the
right,
grass.
And it's thrown out. Right, so that's kind of how we've always done it. It's a capped out. It is technically a corner versus a certain technique. It'll be a corner. If it's ever a press corner, like say you got something tight, it could turn into something like that, which will look like shakes. Mm-hmm. It'll look like shakes. But that's the only time really he would ever inside release.
Most of the time he's releasing
Most of the time he's releasing to the outside.
Okay.
So I want him to release to the outside pretty much on everything with our receivers. Obviously, there's always give and take with certain concepts and certain routes. I always tell them if you have an inside route like a post or a dig, win inside. If you have an outside route like a corner or an out,
that's a good thing. I stole that from you from last time we talked.
Yeah,
and that really has helped my wide receivers get open.
That's a little bit. I do. It's a little bit different on shallow. I mean, there's one play where if one of these guys has a shallow and the other guy's a dig, I'd like him to release outside.
But other than that, a general rule is if you're breaking outside, release outside, inside.
Just kind of depends on the play. But anyway, so continuing with, here, I'll get this up here so everybody knows we're talking about 92. So my tailback swing, I guess you can kind of see that. This marker is a little bit better. And then on the mesh, the Y sets the mesh, continues across versus man, and the H comes underneath and continues across versus man. I teach that a lot shallower of a depth than what is generically taught. Everybody says,
6 yards.
6 yards, 5, 6 yards. And I guess, in college that works great. Again, I'm not working with super fast kids. I like it almost like 2 shallows. So, I want this at about, it's deeper than a shallow, but it's about 3 yards.
I found that when we run it, I keep saying 6, but it really ends up about 2 or 3.
Okay, see, I've always had kids that tend to go deeper.
My guys, they're like, screw that, I'm not going deep. I'm staying.
That's the smarter thing, because the big thing is you want to get across. The big thing is you want to get in the view of the quarterback. So then you talk about where does this thing end up sitting if you get zoned. So I'll just drop a defense and I'll drop a 3-4 or 5-man box. So, let's do this.
All right. Well, while we're doing that, I'm gonna say hello to some of the coaches. The football nerd, welcome, thank you. He's got some great videos. Y'all really should check them out. Y'all think I'm cat. We're here at Camden High School. Also, I just wanted to give a shout out to the Camden High School coaches. They allowed us to use their offices, so they're sitting back there working for next week, and they're laughing at us while we do this because this is something brand new. But I just wanted to say the football nerd actually has a lot of cool. Coach, you might like this. The Cool Clinic offensive lineman. He has all of them on there. So if you want to check it out, probably not. You're looking at me like, shut up, leave me alone. Coach Lopez, welcome from Spain. Coach Preston, hey coaches, love these talks. Love the new hair, Coach Mackey, thank you. I look like a dick. I need to work on that. Coach Sheffer, hey coaches, glad to be back with the Air Raid live streams. I agree, Coach. I missed the last one. I was not happy. Me neither, because I'm an idiot and I accidentally deleted it. So, welcome, coaches. If those that are in here that aren't saying anything, please comment, ask questions, anything. We're going to be talking about mesh, which he is going over right now. Then 93, 94 in screens, and then we'll be taking your questions. If it sounds good, please give it a thumbs up if you find this helpful or anything. So right now, Coach, you're going through the mesh play, and I'm sorry for jumping in, but go ahead. Yeah, so that's essentially how it eventually ends up. And of course, your 2 guys, if it gets zoned, settle in zones. And I always, first day of practice, I always put out cones, and so I try and give them always the toughest look they could possibly get, which would be something like that. So, I put a cone over here. If I had a stand-up dummy or something like that, if you have that at your school, that's awesome to use that. But I put like a little red cone there, a cone there, a cone there, and a cone there. And so I kind of tell them this is where they're going to stand, most likely. Versus essentially your toughest type of look, that's where they'll be. So where are your natural holes? And so, the H knows to always look across and find the Sam and the Mike. So he's basically going to try and sit in between that zone. And then your Y is always going to try and find your Rover and your Will and try and sit in between that zone. Now, of course, if you ever watch like Washington State and Mike Leach do this, a lot of times they'll cross and they can sit right here. So if for some reason like the Mike's kind of with the F and he moves out with that they could slap hands and literally be right next to each other. Yeah. So good, they're really good at it. They've been doing it a while.
They're the best one you're going to watch out there do it. So, they have a real good, method to the madness with that. My guys are kind of more taught between the Mike and Sam or the Will and the Rover. So they can sit there if it happens to come, but
good job. Most of the time they're reading off these guys. Yeah. These 2 and these 2.
Yeah. Now we run this a lot. We do this a ton in practice. So we've ran it 10 times in one game before. I actually found that out last season. So this is essentially how we run 92 out of 2x2. How it's taught for your quarterback. First thing he does is he looks for the softest corner. So, if the corner over the Z is backed off and the corner over the X is tighter, he's going to work the right side. And then he just attacks that side. So say, he is soft. You're going 1, 2, 3 with your drop, and your eyes are out here. And the only person you really are concerned with, if you're the quarterback, is the Sam. That's it. I don't care about the corner. If the corner for some reason picks the ball off, which has never happened, we've never had that happen, it's the Z's fault. So I kind of tell my quarterback that, if corners make plays on the ball, unless it's just an awfully thrown ball, it's the wide receiver's fault most of the time because they're not doing enough to create separation. If the Sam were to pick this ball off, that's your fault.
Gotcha.
So we kind of play the game off the Sam. So at 1, 2, 3, if he even moves in a little bit because the Y runs the mesh route, he's shooting this thing out here on rhythm to the out.
Okay.
Or the cap down to the corner. If the Sam were to fly out, okay, now he works the back to the mesh.
Okay.
And if he, so basically the way we teach this is you're going to have 2 open, regardless of what he does. If he flies out here, you're going to have that one and that one. If he stays still, you'll have that one and that one, right? If he comes down, you'll have that one and that one. So, I mean, that's kind of how we teach it. We, does it always work that great? No, because, these guys got to be smart in where they sit. Sometimes they'll sit and then move. If they don't get the ball right away, they feel calm. Yeah, they'll move around. So, I know he thinks it takes long. It really doesn't. The majority of the time when we run 92, you hit the cap down.
Yeah.
I mean,
and Coach, I've actually seen his film. I know we're gonna let's not get on our soapbox this time.
Yeah.
But all the bad stuff about mesh, it's the coaches teach it this first.
Yeah.
When in fact it should be these 2, then you come back to the mesh. That way it opens up the mesh a little bit more.
The mesh is more of a check down. So
Yeah.
like it's called the mesh play, I guess, by people, but like in all honesty, when this thing was taught, when it was designed, it was called 92. It was never called mesh. So, when people started identifying it, they called it the mesh play. And so that's how it got to be known as mesh. But in all honesty, I mean, you're taught, 1, some people teach it 2 to 3, and that's fine. I like to teach it from the capped out to the back because in all honesty, your eyes are out here more. I mean, when you're thinking about throwing the out, it's a lot easier, I think, for me to take my eyes from here to here than take my eyes from here to here
and then
than to back out to here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only reason I go from the back because it's, he doesn't have to go out to mesh to back. He can just go out, back, mesh, if that makes sense.
And then once he comes to this mesh, then he's working back to this one
so
instead of going here, and then back.
Yeah, he'll get back to that one. And the good ones can kind of see the whole picture. So, like, if you got a really good quarterback right here, he can kind of get from 1 to 2 and then see it.
Yeah.
One of these 2, whether it's the Y or the H, is going to
pop open
into his eyesight. Now, if it's man coverage, it's real easy. It just works like a pick. So, and they continue to run.
Good stuff. All right. Coach Preston asks, do you think mesh can be run by a team in the UK that only gets 2 to 3 practices a week in a preseason that is 5 weeks long?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
If that's the only.
Yeah. I mean, this is a play that we run a lot. I mean, but we put it in, like I said, right off the bat generally, and I know a lot of people think you need a lot of time to practice it, and that, I mean, we kind of do, but we run it a ton in 7-on-7. We 7-on-7 every day, so it kind of depends. Yeah, I think you can.
Coach Schiffer says, I know you're spread coaches, but what are your thoughts about running the mesh concept out of a double wing formation with 2 wideouts, mesh with the wing backs? First off, get out of here with that. This is spread. But I'm just kidding. What?
Yeah, I guess you could do it. I mean, it depends. I mean, yeah.
You could always try it, and if it doesn't work, just scrape it. That's what I would say. I don't know anything about the wing team.
You're essentially getting the same thing. I mean, yeah, there's multiple ways to do it out of different formations and stuff. So give it a shot, see if it works. If you don't like it, it takes some time. I mean, it's not like we have like 3 run plays. So I mean, when you talk about this,
this is what you build your offense on.
Yeah, we build it around this. So I mean, we've been pretty successful though. I mean, we led the state of North Carolina in passing in 2014. We were second this past year, and actually in 2014, my kid actually finished first over Austin Kendall and Chad Surratt. Austin Kendall's the backup quarterback at the University of Oklahoma, and Chad Surratt may start at Carolina this year. So
it's not bad.
Yeah, those kids were juniors though. In all fairness, mine was a senior. So
okay,
but Yeah, we throw it a lot. I mean, that's a big reason why we throw for so many yards, and but
this is a staple of the airplay. There, right. All right, Coach, this is at a 2x2. Let me go through real quick. Have a Coach Horner, your previous lotto, I think, did it freeze on us? I think it did. The old clinic, it got deleted. I accidentally deleted it, so it's not on there. This is why we're doing this one. And if you're just joining us, I'm Coach Ron Mackey. This is Coach Drew Piscopo, and we're going over the air raid in high school.
For us, so early's 3x1 to the right, late's 3x1 to the left. If you're getting early, the H moves in between the Y and the Z, and if you're getting late, the Y moves in between the H and the X. That's how Mike Leach does it. I don't necessarily do it that way. I throw the H in between the Y and the Z, and then to get the late, I just flip it. So I flip the whole thing because, like I said, I probably have one really good wideout, and I always like him to be the single in 3x1, so I can most likely get a one-on-one matchup with him and take advantage of it. If I can't, then I normally have numbers to the field. So anyway, I'll show you how we do it out of early because it's just the same thing as flip. So early for us, Y is on, H is off, Z is off, X is on, and depending on how you want to line up on defense, I don't know if you want to stay balanced. That's fine. Some people do unbalance with us. Or say unbalance with us, they throw the rover over there too and put another guy over our trips. Some people stay like that. It doesn't really matter to us. So we run mesh. The rules are basically still the same. The Y sets the mesh. The X now is the single, so he has the mesh. And so the only time this really changes is like out of early and late, where the X hound has to come under and gets across. Your zones, that basically I teach them the same spot between the rover and the will, between the Mike and the Sam, somewhere in that area. Back will swing to the single side. H has a post, and the Z has the corner capped out. So that's how we run 92 out of early and late. And if it's late, like I said, it's just the same thing flipped for us. If you're Mike Leach and you're in late, the Y would set the mesh over here, and the H would actually come from the slot. So the post would come from the slot. So it does, and that's a cool thing about how Mike Leach does things. It does look completely different when they're in early or late. Now again, there's also certain plays he doesn't run out of early and late.
I remember
that he does. Like he's not going to run early, or he'll run early 95, which is cross, but he won't run late 95. So you'll never see that.
Is there a reason why?
Yeah, he doesn't like the Y coming from left to right. So when you go in ace 95, it always comes from the right to the left.
Mm-hmm.
And if he gets in late, he doesn't. Plus, the Y is another guy out. So now it's, because if they're in late, it's just how the thing's set up.
And late, the Y's in the middle.
Right. So now you got to, he's have the out, he has the cross.
Gotcha.
So that he doesn't like that. So that's why they don't do it. So yeah, that's basically your rule.
I've always just a method to his madness.
Yeah. So certain things he does like better, like 93 he likes better out of late, which makes sense. So anyway, beyond that, this is 92 from early. Basically what you're doing here is you're playing the game off the safety first to throw the post or the out. If the safety has inside leverage on the H, like that drawing, you start with the out. So you'll go basically 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. If the strong safety lines up head up to him, you got a good shot at it. We're basically trying to throw this thing on rhythm, 1, 2, 3, punch it there. The only person that can really take that away is if the Sam drops. If the Sam drops, you get to that mesh. And of course, this is again a versus a 5-man box and a 3-4 defense. Yeah, if he slides over or something, then you get to that one. If they slide over, then you get to that one.
Okay.
So that's essentially how it would all work, if you went through it. So the quarterback should start by just leverage over the strong safety. We get a lot of teams that put a Sam right there, a Sam right there, and the strong safety over the H. So a lot of times we do get to peg the post.
Okay.
Unless this dude sinks. And if that guy sinks, we almost always get this thing. And the X should kind of see that. So the X, he's, like I said, whether they're in ace or they're in 3x1, they're always looking on the mesh for these outside guys. More so than these, really. They're trying to find the outside guys.
Because that'll tell them.
Right, so if he drops, yeah, he can settle, but he probably wouldn't settle right next to the mic. He'd try and probably get into this space.
Because there's more grass on that area.
Put a stress on that and throw it out there. So
okay.
That's kind of how we do it.
Now
we've thrown this one a lot. I know a lot of people think
I've
that's a far throw, but we've hit the capped out of early and late too. So.
What are you telling your? Are you telling him to keep it skinny when he's breaking his post?
Depends.
Or are you telling him to get just?
No, he reads the weak safety. So if the weak safety bails and is getting a lot of depth, he's going to hit it more flat.
Okay.
Okay. If he's flat-footed, which he may be more flat-footed, depending on him seeing all, because what's in front of him? This is all in front of him. So if he just kind of stays a little bit flat-footed, he may punch it more up.
Okay.
So yeah, the H is taught to eye the weak safety,
so a little bit
and then adjust his depth or how he stems it off him.
Okay.
So that's how we do it out of early and late.
Okay. I've had a couple coaches email me about this. Out of this formation, do you have any tags that you like to run off a mesh, or is it just mesh? This is it.
Yeah, we have a tag, and we when we're an ace, we'll tag a post, but we'll tag a post depending on safety structure and leverage again.
Okay.
So that's our most common tag out of 2x2. It's just the X or the Z, like
Post.
I said, on a post. If it's one high, we will tag a post.
Okay.
To one of them off of one of the sides. If we're an ace for some reason and we're on the left hash and the strong safety is in the middle of the field and the weak safety is on the hash, like over the ball, yeah, he may tag a post on the Z now too and try and hit it on the hash.
Okay.
So I mean, there's and that's all done by the quarterback. Like I give my quarterback a lot of freedom, so he lines up and he'll run 92, but if he sees leverage, he'll give a quick hand signal and it tells him to run a post, and then he basically looks from the tag route and then gets back to them through the normal progression. From this one, yeah, we our most common tag is just done with the H and the Z. That other two. So that H has a wheel, and it's not a true, it's not an out and up. We'll be talking about 93 here in a minute. That's a little bit different. That route looks different than this route. This is more like kind of run at the corner and then get up. It's not necessarily like a 5-yard out and up.
Gotcha.
So he's trying to
So you're attacking the corner and then
attacks the corner,
and then
then gets on up.
Okay.
The Z will basically just try and get inside leverage on the corner and then post, or he'll get flat, depending. And so this play is called 92 PCP H wheel.
Okay.
So that's
And
how.
when would you call this, or would your quarterback call this? Is this something you see in the box, or
Yeah,
where
we'll call it.
I gotcha.
We call it off.
So you give him a little bit of freedom, but not that much.
Yeah, he won't necessarily check to that.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha. Okay.
that's something that I'll call from the sideline. So yeah, and the safety this post dig thing is all based off this strong safety. So if the strong safety is getting depth, he punches it flat. If he's for some reason
steps up or flat-footed,
moves out or gets flat-footed, he can shoot it up.
Okay.
And it gets more like a post.
That's a nice.
And
little...
basically, you're just again playing the game off the same. If he for some reason sink under, then you get right back to your mesh. And
Gotcha. If he stays there, then
if he stays there, yeah,
one
then
or the other.
Peg the dig. We peg that dig a lot. So
good stuff. Good stuff.
That's kind of it.
All right. What does PC? The coach asked, "What does PCP stand for?"
Yeah, I've always got that question. PCP stands for post corner post,
and not the drugs.
Yeah, no, it stands for post corner post, but it's truly a post.
I'm here all week, fellas. I'm here all week.
It is truly a post. If you even go back and look in like the old 1999 Oklahoma air raid playbook with Mike Leach, he has PCP written on stuff, and kind of all it means is is post corner post, but it's truly a post. They even in Washington State, they said they didn't normally have a guy fast enough to run a true post corner post.
Gotcha.
So it just means post.
All right, so coaches that are just joining us, welcome. We just went over the mesh concept at a 2x2 and 3x1. I'm Coach Ron Mackey. This is Coach Drew Piscopo, and this is my channel. If you find this helpful, please give it a thumbs up and go ahead and share. Get some more coaches in here. I love to talk ball with all y'all. And if this is your first time also, I put a video out every Saturday at 10:30. You can go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. Now, the next thing we're going to go to, and something I learned from you because I really didn't know about it, was 93.
Right.
And the more we talked about it, the more I thought this was an amazing route. So if you could you take us through what 93 is in the air raid?
Yeah, I'll go back into ace on 93.
Okay.
So 93 is also one of those plays too, like if you were to look through that old 1999 Oklahoma playbook as a reference, which I mean is the only time it's really been drawn out by Coach Leach. 93 is not going to be in there. So this is something he's been doing it for a while, but really especially with like Connor Halliday's years, they got pretty good at it. So the 2013, 14 years. So I'll show you what that is. But 93 is kind of known, like 92 is known as the mesh play, 93 is known as H wheel. So I'll draw that. You'll notice in ace about like 90% of the time the back's on the right. You can put your H on this one if you want to, but the X's route so deep that most of the time we just keep it as is. So 93, I'll kind of start with the progressions of it too. The Z has a post, and then that's your first look. So the Y will have an over the ball. The H has a true 5-yard out and up, so he will run a speed out, show head and hands, and then turn it up. And the X has a 15-yard curl. So, and the F will swing to the YZ side. So, big coaching point on that one, it's got to be 15 yards. If you run it at 10 yards, you're going to get stuck. So, you'll notice that a lot of times, what I would call a rover, or that extra line back over here in a 3-4, if you're in a 4-3, it's the will, is at 10 yards, it's not as clear-cut a picture. If you run this thing at 15 yards, he's got a better chance of doing one of two things when he runs this curl. He can kind of bring it in depending on if the rover were to, sink back that way. He can bring it more in. If he sort of sinks straight back, he should work right back almost down his stem and kind of bend it out. So he can kind of do two things on that one. Or he can just run a true curl and come right back to the ball and it gets pegged. So anyway, this is taught 1, 2, 3. You're looking here first as he hitches. Again, it's great if you got a kid who can kind of see the whole picture on this. I'll draw it a little bit clearer. But if you don't think you have that, we teach it to just try and get to the curl.
Okay.
So it's 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. So this is a play I don't run with our JV team. So, and the reason I don't run it with our JV team is because eye movement. He's going from 1, 2, 3 here, hitching to here, getting back to the middle, and then getting back all the way out to the right.
Yeah.
So not that it takes a long time, because a lot of times this route, this is something too that you got to work a good amount of time. People have to talk about mesh. I think you got to run this one more than mesh, because you're reading that strong safety a lot, and so this the Z can kind of come under it or it can go over it, depending on how it works. Now a lot of times what will happen is if you get a rover, a Will, a Mike, and a Sam, he should kind of get a clue on this, on what the Sam does. So if the Sam starts to squeeze inside a little bit with the Y on the OTB, or the over the ball as we call it, he's looking now, do I have a clear window to throw this thing? So a lot of times, this guy will sink, especially if they're playing us. He undercuts it a little bit and it's pegged. Okay. So it can look a little bit more like a dig, but
It's really a
it
post?
looks like a post.
Okay.
I mean, it's hit like a post. It's just not. It's not a skinny post.
Gotcha.
It's a true post. So that's kind of how we teach that one. And again, if that kid's just like at 10, 12 yards, however depth, you teach them. If they just squat, again, because he sees that, and he's not really getting much depth, he'll punch it and just try and take it over the top.
Okay.
So it kind of works how teams throw shallow, and they run a dig with a post over it. You know how like sometimes that kid squats, and that's why you throw the post over the top. It's the same, essentially, type of read for your quarterback. If that thing comes in and for some reason he's flat-footed because he sees that come in.
Take a shot.
Yeah, it goes over the top.
Okay.
So, anyway, a lot of times, though, that's not the throw. That's most of the time, like it's taught to look there, but a lot of times you hit it on this.
We've hit that a ton.
Yeah, you're just getting curl flat. I mean, it's essentially what it is. It's
Yeah.
just another way to get curl flat. If for some reason the corner were to come down, you could throw the wheel. So, I mean, if your corner's playing this X and then, that happens, he sucks up, and you got a shot to hit
Take
it
it.
over the top, throw it over the top. So.
Gotcha. Now, I have to be honest, I haven't run this that much at a 2x2. My favorite is at a 3x1.
Yeah, it's better at 3x1.
So let's see while Coach is about to go over at 3x1. I'm going to see what some of y'all are saying. Coach Kirk asked, do you coach in the box or the sidelines?
Sidelines.
The sidelines on the sideline.
Just
Guys,
and I've done both. But I've been up top for like 5 games. I couldn't stand it because I couldn't get a feel for the emotion of the game. I feel like there is something to that. I like being up top and seeing the whole picture. But a lot of times, I would get on the headset with my quarterback even when I was up top, but you couldn't really get the sense of the team's feeling, I guess, and that's why I like being down there. I don't like coaching in a soapbox, as they call it. So I don't know.
I gotcha. So, Coach, could you go over 3x1, 93 out of 3x1, which I think is probably, in my opinion, the best way to run it?
Yeah, probably so. It's a little bit better on 3x1. So their rules do change out of 3x1. H is off, Z's off, F's over here. Alright, so basically now this becomes your post side and that's your first look. So it looks like that. You got the swing over here. And that's that's the first look, and a lot of times that's kind of a good place to, obviously, you'll get that post throw a lot. And I know you're thinking, well, why? Well, it depends. A lot of times people will flip the rover over here with us and put 3 over our 3 plus safety help over the top because they want to get like 4 over our 3. And then they feel like, well, we got 2 over there, 1 here, and then we'll play the wheel, on that. So basically, if that happens, you basically are just playing the game off the wheel. If he drops, throw it to the back. If he's a little bit flat-footed, you're trying to peg the post. But you never really, getting back to just basic 3x1 rules, like if you're on the hash here, if this is the hash, and the weak safety's on the hash, it's going to be hard to throw it over there. Okay. So that's just kind of having to be aware, especially if you got that look, because essentially here they got 1, 2, 3 over your and the corner over your 2. So you're basically going to have to try and throw it to the field here. Again, I'm drawing everything versus a 5-man box and dropping 8.
You see a lot.
Yeah. So anyway, if that were to happen, you still got to take your feet and start here. The Y still runs the same route. The H still runs the same route. You still got the 5-yard out and up. The Z now has the 15-yard curl. And so you're going 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. So that's essentially how it goes. So if you get a team that plays 3 roll, and that's great. If he starts to roll to the middle and he comes down, 1, 2, 3, you're throwing it off. Most likely, the will or over, depending on, which one comes. If none of them come, if you get that look, run the football.
You heard it here first. He said run the football.
Anyway, so it goes from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. So.
And when we ran it, this was wide open all the time.
Yeah, it
because
is.
This corner would always get sucked up on this out and up.
Yeah.
Right here in the corner would bail, and then this guy, we taught him just to find grass.
Yeah.
We did it a little bit different than you did. we would go 1, 2 to 3, and we kind of push this to 15 just to make it a little bit deeper.
That's fine. Yeah, if you can peg it right there. I've
Yeah.
seen some teams like if you get blitzed, that's
Uh-huh.
just your peg.
Yeah.
Your kind of your hot read. So if you got a more traditional look or something like that, or a 4 down front, or even if it's a 3-4 and they were to run the rover down or the Sam down, and that's your 4th rusher, you know, which if you got 3 roll, it's most likely going to be the Sam. If you got something like 42, it's most likely going to be the rover. I mean, that's kind of how most defenses play us. If it's depending on what the shell is, you can kind of tell which one's most likely going to blitz.
Gotcha.
So anyway, if you got that, it makes it a little bit easier. Now you're just playing the game off the will first. Of course, if the weak safety stays there, it doesn't matter. You're not throwing that one. You reset your feet. You get from that one. You can sneak a peek at the H2. If that quarterback's good and can see the whole picture, it's even better. And then we get to there.
Gotcha. All right. Going back just a little bit, I got Coach Mays ask, do you like running certain concepts in certain parts of the field, or is everything wide open to you?
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things. But I mean, like
do you not feel comfortable running something in a certain part, or you just like, screw it, I'm just going to call whatever I want based on what the defense gives me?
I don't ever feel like uncomfortable with something. There's certain things I like better in certain places. I mean,
Gotcha.
if I'm like on my own 20 or
Uh-huh.
something, or I'm backed up. I don't want to say backed up, but if I'm on my own 20 coming out, I like shallow in that situation. And then once I get closer to the goal line, like if I'm on the 15 to 20 yard line, I like doing things with more tags. So like I could run 618 and Z post, or 92 and tag a kid on a post. It kind of depends. I mean,
Gotcha.
you're looking at, that's just kind of the
That's
art
fine.
of play calling.
That's fine. That's fine. You're right. And then Coach Stanley wants to know, do you have the out and up run into the boundary? Like, do you ever run this play into the boundary, or is this always to the field?
It's always fun to see what happens when you put trips in the boundary and see what a defensive coordinator does to it, especially what they do with that weak safety. So, I mean, like if we are on the right hash for some reason, and you got, I still want my X to line up all the way outside the numbers.
Gotcha.
Regardless of basically where it is. So, like,
Okay.
if they don't move that safety over there to help, just more space to kind of throw that post.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to think if I have seen Washington State even run that in the boundary, though.
Off the top of my head, I haven't. But I'm not the expert.
No, I've seen a lot of early 95 with the trips in the boundary, and they're trying to throw the vertical. I have seen that a lot. That's probably the most common play, aside from like a screen, that I've seen Mike Leach run with the trips in the boundary. I mean,
Okay. Coach Stanley wanted to clarify. I said when you're an ace. Now, when you're an ace, do you ever run the out and up to the boundary, or is that again to the field?
I like it better to the boundary.
To the boundary.
I like it better with the out and up in the boundary, because now you have more room for that post. So
Okay.
again, like you're getting more space. So if you put the ball on that left hash again, like where's the strong safety going to line up? If he's lining up in the middle of the field and the weak safety's on the hash, now I have maybe a shot to throw the post,
Gotcha.
especially if he just sneaks up a little bit with over the ball, because the Y is essentially over him. So sometimes we'll play teams where they like to keep their numbers in the box. This is without any number or help in the box, or what I was drawing. So they'll play more of a 4 look over here and just play almost there's no flat defender over my Y and ace, and so that guy, there's a lot of room to mess around with over there. If he comes down at all, we pegged it. So yeah, and I got a bunch of clips of us doing this too on YouTube, and you see our guy throw the post out of ace more times
there was a couple of them
when we're on the left hash.
It was a thing of beauty too.
Yeah. So
if you want, is it on your YouTube channel now?
Yeah, it is.
So go to Coach Piscopo's YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I will link to it after this is over with, after the clinic. He's got some really good clips that if you want to see these in action, you can go there. I'm not technical enough to actually bring the plays on here. I don't know how to do that. So I will link to his YouTube channel.
Yeah, you can see 93 on there. So
What, you got 93, you got 92?
it's all on there.
Everything.
91's shallow, 92's mesh, 3's H wheel,
Okay.
94's sail, 5 cross, 6 is curl.
And Coach Stanley wanted to ask one more thing, and I know a lot of other coaches have asked this. Do you use a lot of motions and shifts in the air raid?
I will on this one. So 93 is the play that I will most likely motion
So that's
with.
your tell?
Just a tell. A
Gotcha.
little bit. Now, I will do it with 95, too.
Okay. 95, for those that
Is-
don't speak, true air raid is the Y cross, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'll do it with 95. But about 90% of the time, the guy that motions is the H. So, I mean, he's always the one we're kind of moving. So he'll start here and then just move to here, and it looks like that.
Gotcha.
So anytime we move from ace to early, like if we call ace H move 93, they got to know it turns into early.
Okay.
So we call this ace H move 93.
And
But
they know that.
he's got to know, okay, that turns into early, so we got to run early 93.
And the beautiful thing is the air raid doesn't have that many plays, so the guys get reps over and over again, so they know it by the time.
Yeah, it basically just, like I said, starts here. Now you got to move. If you don't move the back, he'll have to do something where he's here and then we'll
Bounce over.
check out
Oh,
like
okay.
that. So we do like a check like that, or he should move him. If it's like if he signals the whole thing, he'll just say over here.
Gotcha.
So that's
Before
kinda,
bringing the guy across and
yeah,
everything.
he just sets him up and then brings it.
Okay.
Go and runs
Sounds
it.
good.
So this H, on the motion gets to hit it moving, which I like a little bit too.
All right. So there we have it. So we've just went over 93, and for those coaches that just came in, like Coach Clark, Justin Clark, welcome, buddy. Thanks for the haircut. I look awful on it. I know can't do that anymore. I am Coach Ron Mackey. This is Coach Drew Piscopo. We're going over the air raid. Yes, there was a previous one that we did, but like I said in the beginning, I'm stupid. I deleted it. I'm sorry. He is here doing another one. We went over the mesh at a 2x2 and at a 3x1. We just went over 93. Is this H wheel?
That's essentially what it's
93 H wheel at a 2x2 and 3x1. And now, Coach, if you could, go over 94 or Y cell, because you have a nice little wrinkle that you do that I think opens it up big time.
Okay, yeah. I'll again get back into A's.
2x2?
Yeah. 94 is a good play too out of green and blue, which is the two back set. Just studying a bunch of what Washington State does, they have a tendency to run 94 out of green and blue, more so than ace. But anyway, this is the vertical with 94. Erase this whole thing. Okay, so it's a 6-step out for the Y. I want him to outside release the Sam, but once he gets the outside release, he should stick it back vertical and then start to bend it at about the 7th step. So he sticks 6, 7, climbs, 8 gets flat. So that's kind of how I teach it. Again, I don't like the beating of the drums thing. It takes too long. You throw 2 picks on that in a season where they get to the top and do that, and you say, I'm not doing that anymore. And that's kind of how I got to. So I started to roll them, and it's worked better ever since. So I don't mind them chopping and breaking down if they're coming in. So if we were running shallow, I want them to get to the top, beat the drums, get flat, because getting flat is so important on that. But I want them to keep their speed as much as they can.
And the quarterback can throw them flat on this route, right?
Yeah, and he gets flat. Like we work on that. Like I said, 6, 7 climbs, 8 starts to get flat. So I mean, it kind of almost looks like a corner out.
Gotcha.
But it's it's literally just 1 step. So 94, we're essentially trying to sell shallow. So he runs the shallow and then whips it back out. So I mean, that really does look like a whip. So where he'll come in and whip back out. And then the X runs a post dig, and it can turn to a post curl. So like how
you giving him the option of finding grass?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he can do that, and then and then the F runs the OTB kind of check, but it's the arrow route, I guess is what some people call it. That's how we've always done it. Now I think like if you go back to like old school 2-back air raid, like where you're in green and the H is here, that's 94, right? Well, if you're in blue and you run 95, the cross is out there, right? It's out.
Yeah.
Well, you still have the go and the 10-yard out.
So it's
So
the same.
They were meant to be mirrored off each other.
So the quarterback still has the same.
It's essentially the same kind of look. You're going 1 to 2, and on the backside of 95 is what, post dig.
Yeah.
That can turn to a curl.
Gotcha.
So it's the same thing flipped. We just don't have the cross on 94.
Okay.
So.
Keep going.
Yeah, so that's how it was originally meant to be. So in green, it was meant to be 94 was the out to the right, 95
Out to the
was
left.
the out to the left.
Okay.
Because it was all, the air raid was originally based on a 2-back. So
Yes, it was.
It was, once it got into 4 wide, it changed a little bit. So that's how it kind of works. But it
And
goes
there we
1 to 2 to 3, and then depending on if you get like blitz or something, you can hit this one as 3, and then that becomes 4 essentially. So, or that can become 4 and that becomes 5. So it kind of depends. Like if the SAM it's better. I like 94 better out of early and late.
I do too, because that little adjustment that you showed me.
Yeah, a lot of
With the
times
H.
you kind of have to feel like where's the leverage at with these guys. Like if the Sam's inside the Y, you got a good shot. You got a soft corner. You got a good shot throwing the out. I mean, you're trying to throw the out. You throw 94.
Okay.
So
Well, could you show them the 3x1?
yeah, I'll show
Out of
3x1.
Okay. Because that one's the one I like when you move the H over here and you have that little.
The slant.
Yeah, that
So-
thing's nasty.
So yeah, that's 94 basically out of Ace. If you actually look in Cliff Kingsbury's terminology too, at Texas Tech, they call this 94 as well.
Okay.
Just like Mike Leach does. Now, when they go early and late, it changes. So at Texas Tech. So at Texas Tech, if they go early, they don't call this 94. They call this 99. Now Leach still calls it 94.
94, okay.
So that's a little bit of a difference between Kingsbury and Leach. But that's really one of them. There's a couple others, but that's one of the major differences in terminology. So, it stays the same. Those two guys have the same route. And really, remember how over here he had the out and the whip?
Yeah.
It's essentially kind of the same thing. So he does the same
That one right
thing.
there is pretty nasty.
So like sail was never meant to be flood. So when people draw a 94 and they like to shoot the back over there and get a 3-level surface, it's not flood. Sail's not flood. It's a completely different play. So that's how it's kind of originally supposed to go. I guess Tony Franklin does things different too, and his stuff's more out there. And then that swings. So again, you're kind of going 1 and then seeing the whole picture right there. Whether you can throw that one or that one, it really depends on this Sam. So you got a good shot too if the Sam's over the Y. If he starts to wall the Y's out, you peg the slant right under him.
Yeah.
So if he squats a little bit, now you're just throwing it on rhythm and looking for obviously 1 to 2. And he's got to work this route off that strong safety. So he's got to, even if he's inside of him a little bit, he's got to stick and then get flat. So he can, like if he's inside leverage, you can't just roll right into it. It does have a good chance of getting nailed there. So he's got to stick corner and then get flatter.
And I think that's what Coach Clark actually, he said, on your sail, do you have your guys read the leverage safety and of the under coverage and run either a corner or a bench stop? You don't do as much
Read
off
routes and stuff.
Yeah.
No, they can see it like if you run 94 out of Ace, just to give him the example, and it's kind of like match read type coverage, and he's kind of squatting on it, it can turn almost into like an outside curl.
Gotcha.
Where he doesn't run right into it.
Gotcha.
It's pegged. As far as like getting more vertical, not really. We've not done that. No, it's basically 1 or 2.
Gotcha.
So that's one thing that's a
There you go,
little bit
Coach.
different with like run and shoot, and like again, when I was at Emory and Henry too, like their OC there last year was Timmy Chang, and so I talked a bunch of run shoot stuff with him, and you know, air raid's got one or two kind of adjustments, like it's a dig or it's a curl, or it's a mesh or you keep going. You know, with a run shoot, you can dig, post, go, curl.
At the one back clinic, he actually said that.
Yeah.
Said that it's actually a little bit harder. He if he had to teach it all over again, he would do the air raid because it's actually kind of simpler to teach to the players, and they kind of get better at it.
Mm-hmm.
Where as the run and shoot, you have to put in a lot of time, and most coaches really don't have that much.
Yeah, imagine like what Emory and Henry was doing this past year, where it was all RPOs and then a rerouting off it. So I think that'd be really tough. They were really good at it, but I mean, everything they did was RPO with run and shoot concept behind it. So yeah, it's one or two type things they can do off that. So
yeah, we've hit this right here a lot.
Yeah, and like there's a really good video out there too of Patrick Mahomes when he was getting ready for the NFL draft, and he's sitting in a classroom and he's talking about 99, which is 94.
It wasn't with I know what you're talking about. I'll try to find that and put it in the link below. It's actually a good one.
Yeah, he talks about like getting from 1 to seeing the picture here from 1 to 2, and that's really what it is. You just got to see it. You know, if the SAM drops underneath it, you can peg the slant. So, and there's, then you get to the backside. You don't like it, get back here, and it just turns into curl flat again. So, backside you're getting the post dig off this wheel. So if he sinks, the back. If he works out flat, you're going to get that. So. And
what I like about what you've been saying is, coaches, if you pay attention, a lot of the games, the mesh, the 94 and the 93, we're kind of messing around with this guy right here.
All the time.
So the quarterbacks only have to worry about that Sam linebacker for the or the
wheel,
just the two outside guys.
Messing with those guys. Everything essentially kind of gets in.
So it seems difficult just looking at it, but when you get down to it, it's really just controlling these two guys.
It's either like a triangle concept. Everything's either a triangle, a levels, or it turns into curl flat. I mean, everything's a level, a triangle, or curl flat. And like I've noticed too, I gotta figure out what's my quarterback best at. If he's best at triangle reads, I'm gonna run more mesh and more 8. If he's good at vertical, like levels reads, run a lot of shallow.
Gotcha.
With a post over the top, so he's going 1, 2, 3.
So Taylor, the air raid 2, whatever your quarterback.
Yeah, if he's good at curl flat, run a lot of 96, run a lot of 95, run a lot of 94. I mean,
gotcha.
What is he good at? So.
All right, I'm gonna see if some questions coming up. Okay, I have a lot of coaches asking about pass protection. That you're more of a 5-man pass pro, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could you go over just real quick your pass protection?
It may change now. We just got this O-line coach from LaGrange College. He was down there with Matt Mummy. He's going to be on our staff now. So.
Before that,
we've always just done these 5. If it's a 3-4 defense, really these 5 get those 5, and then the back or the old school way of doing it with 6 man is the back takes care of 1 and 2. We've always free release the back.
That's what I thought.
So we can keep the back in. We do on like 2 quick games, but we always release the back. So it's a 5-man protection pretty much all the time. If they got a Mike coming down and a Sand coming down, it can turn into a 4-man slide. I mean, that's the best way to do it. So we do a lot of 4-man slide stuff, but for the most part, we feel like if we get the back out, we always have a hot beater. So depending on how they do us, and we don't take on a whole lot of sacks. We've had people, even try and play 0 to us, and then once they get burnt once or twice, it kind of back off a little bit, and it turns into 1. I mean, that's just funny how people adjust.
All right, we got Coach Mitchell asked, Coach, this is about the air raid. We really don't run that much, but he asked, how do you block a 0 and a 4-eye? Run an inside zone, and just real quick, you can do 1 of 2 things. This is what we do. We either have that tackle just mush them the hell out and just push them out, or we have actually arced released him to the backer, and then we just read that 4-eye. That's really the simple way of doing it. So we've gone through 94, and Coach is just joining us. Welcome again. I know I sound like a broken record for everybody that's sitting here watching us. I'm Coach Ron Mackey. This is Coach Drew Piscopo. We're going over the air raid in the high school setting. We have gone over mesh at a 2x2, which is ace. If you keep hearing them say ace, that's 2x2. And at a early or late, and that's 3x1. We've done that for 93 or the H wheel at a 2x2 and 3x1. We just went over 94 at a 2x2 and 3x1. And Coach, I know you've said you had a lot of screens, and I've had a lot of people ask your screen game. Could you go over either your most popular one or one you just like and you think it's amazing? If you could just do that for the coaches.
Okay. Yeah, so our screens are Rita, Lita, Randy, and Larry. And so, like, I'll just go over those real quick. Like, a Rita screen is this old school solid screen. So if we called Rita, it would be like he gets that one, he gets this one. I do like a alligator set with a tackle, and then in the early set or a late set, he'd have to get number 3. The other ones we do, Randy, Larry, are fast screens, which is real simple. He'd go get the corner. The Y would get the most dangerous player there. You peg the fast screen to the Z. So those are the most well-known screens, and those are our most common screens. We have some other ones that are a little bit different, and I'll draw one that's a little bit different. We didn't run this a whole lot last year, and we did it a lot in 2014. I don't know why we didn't run it a whole lot, but I like it. I'll call this read screen. Okay, so read screen. We're reading the end, and that's why we've called it read screen. So he'll alligator set, and then he'll try and go get the corner. Now, that's not easy, got a big guy, but that's basically what he's shooting for. And the X will come in and try and get the mic, and then we swing the back. And this is how we're playing the game basically off the defensive end. If he were to come upfield, you're doing basically the get big drill. So he drops and then dumps it to the F, and there's your screen. Essentially getting out. This guy's going to alligator 2, maybe punch, and then try and release 2 for the mic or something like that. So that's read screen to the single side. Now if he doesn't like it, like say the end gets out wide and actually runs with the back or stays still or gets flat, something like that. Now we're just basically running the old school solid screen off this. So that's it. And he'll set and then go 2. Either get the mic or the same. So if they put, they got this one, he's still going to try and get the corner. The Y is now going to try and get the strong safety, and then he'll try and go and get the Sam. So
do these two release, or they release them? Gotcha.
The center's really the only one that doesn't. Now they do vertical set, punch, and then
release.
go. Yeah. So
okay.
Obviously, he wants him to get inside, or so we can throw that one. But and of course my
Do you influence? Do you kind of have him jump a little bit outside to make this guy want to go inside, or is he just?
Yeah, he's vertical setting and trying to go. I mean, really,
okay.
However he wants to go, it's going to dictate which side we throw.
Okay.
We throw the screen to.
Nice.
I did this at Emory and Henry. This is not a Mike Leach thing.
Your own little spin.
This is something that we ran when Tom Manning was my offensive line coach at Emory and Henry when I was a freshman. He's the offensive coordinator at Iowa State now. This was something that he did, and
okay. Now
so we ran it then.
Want to know, when do you like calling screens? Do you like calling them first and second down, or do you like them more third down, or is it
If
just
they're coming?
It's
just if they're bringing pressure.
Gotcha.
I mean, sometimes I don't.
Because I know there's kind of two.
At third down, like if it's a passing situation too, and they want to try and come a little, like it's more of an aggressive defense. We threw maybe 3 touchdowns
off of this
play in one game where they were all in third down critical situation spots, and we just were like, let's run read screen. I mean, it's like 3rd and 8 or something. You wouldn't think necessarily. You always think we'll throw it past the sticks or something, but
yeah,
sometimes
just dump it off and let them do it.
This is a really good one for us, and a lot of times, if you hit that one, if this is blocked well, it's pretty good. So
absolutely right.
That's read screen. So
all right.
That's the one screen I guess I would kind of put out there.
Okay, I like it. I'm stealing it. Coach Barrett asked, do your wide receivers go both ways, or are they just one way?
No, they go one way.
They go
Our starting 4, basically.
And he also wanted to know, what's your rotation like? Do you have a set rotation, or do you just tell your guys to suck it up?
Yeah,
Just suck
we're
it
not
up.
that deep.
Gotcha.
So, and we have maybe 6 kids that can really play.
Now,
can
those
play
2
for
that
us.
are off, do they have to know every other position?
No, so the way we've always kind of had it is if, like, for example, right now my Y knows Y and H.
Okay.
My X knows everything, but he's been in the
For a while.
He's been there for a while. He's the best one I got. So my Y knows Y and H. My H knows X and H. So if my X for some reason were to get hurt,
You'd move your H.
my H would move to X. My
Y.
Y would move to
Gotcha.
H, and then I'd slide in another Y. Which the backup Y right now is probably my 6th best one, and then my Z. So
do you try to have them learn another position just in case, or do you have
Yeah.
them focus on
yeah,
just?
if this kid, if you can have one kid that
That
can
can know 'em
learn.
all.
If you can have 2 kids that can learn them all, you'll be okay.
Okay.
So,
Because I know I had a lot of coaches ask me about that.
Now, I ran into that last year, though, man. I had 3 receivers get hurt. I mean, like, serious season-ending injuries last year before we got into week 4. So, my best one, my X broke his collarbone in week 4. My Y broke his leg in week 3.
Good Lord.
And my Z is who I eventually had to move to X. And then my H broke his foot in like week 6. So early in the year, we were setting a lot of records. We threw for 500 yards in one game and over 480 in 2 or 3 others.
And then those guys go down.
And then when those guys got hurt, I mean, it became a struggle to throw
Gotcha.
for 2. So, I mean, when you talk about you got to have a trigger man, people that think that are generally wrong. You got to have receivers.
Gotcha.
This guy's got to be somewhat smart, but you got to have wideouts. I mean, that's been true as long as we've had. The better we are at wideout,
The better you are.
the better we are
offensively.
moving the football. Last year was the best we've been since I've been there, and we ended up like on offense when we were healthy, and we won like 5 games, and even in 2014 when we won 10 games. Like last year's offense at healthy was the best one we had. It just wasn't healthy through week 4. So I mean,
That'll hurt anybody, any offense.
yeah, it just kills you.
Football nerd asks, you don't read the mic, you read the end. This is
Yes, you read
just
the
read
end.
the end.
1, 2, 3, read in the end. If he comes at you, flip it to the back, and
If
then
he
you got the
goes
cross
out.
block, and there you go. If he sinks out with the back, reroute it, get back to your tunnel screen.
Okay.
I call
Coach Widener, I hope I'm saying that right. What formation and play do you have that's effective versus a 3-4 defense? Coach, we've been drawing all of these plays up against the 3-4 defense, so pretty much everything that we've gone over today has actually worked. So I hope that helped.
Yeah, again, you got to figure out if they balance or unbalance with you. I had one coach once tell me, he's the OC at Shenandoah now, and he said the first thing I do is I get in early and late, and I see if the defense unbalances with me. If they unbalance with me, what that means, like if you have a generic 3-4 defense and they do move the rover over, he works the single side. For the majority of the time, he works the boundary. If they stay balanced, you have a natural numbers advantage to your trips.
And you work this side.
And you work the trip side. That's kind of the old school way of just throwing the ball
Yeah.
around. If you don't want to do true progression type stuff that works in the air raid, if you want to, go over coverage reads or leverage reads, that's a good way to do it.
Okay.
So there's a lot of ways you can teach a quarterback and run an offense.
And on that, I had another coach email me, asked, what's your thought process game planning against a 4-2 over or under cover 2 or 4? Do you have a thought process? Are you looking to hit something more?
Yeah, I mean, I like things to get into the middle of the field against
Okay.
a split safety type coverage or something, but I mean, I'd have to see it.
See the film.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I don't know. I
Gotcha.
mean,
I was asking. That's
everything we
top
run's
level.
kind of, it's kind of meant to attack all different things. I was on the phone the other night actually with the football nerd, and he was asking me about some of that stuff. Like, what do you like versus, when do you run 98? And I'm like, it just kind of depends all
On
the
what
time.
the
I
defense
mean,
does.
like, yeah,
Gotcha.
it's great versus cover 2, something like that. I mean, so there's certain
Different
things
things.
are better versus certain things, but again, you can run anything versus anything
That is
in
the beautiful
this-
thing about
in this
the air
type
raid.
of stuff if you go through your progressions. And
Some
read.
will be open.
Like
Okay.
96 is the only thing where like it's a true check by my quarterback pre-snap.
go over it,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
No, that's fine. So, 96 is something that like everybody does. You care if I go over like
No.
checking plays essentially too eventually? Read quick with it. Try.
All right. So Coach is going to go over 96, and he's also going to talk about how he allows his quarterback to make checks. Good Lord, I don't know what that was. That sounded weird. Make checks at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. So.
Went stupid there for a second.
All right. So 96 is that, and then it's just old school curl flat. And these are 15-yard curls, and this one ends up at about 8, I guess. If you got that look, he probably wouldn't run that play. So if he got that, he would check to shakes. So, and that's a check that he does based on the safety structure. So if he gets one high, he's running that.
Okay.
And if he doesn't get one high, okay, so I'll signal 96 to him, and he'll signal 96. And if he gets one high, he'll just keep it running. If he doesn't, he'll
kill it.
Easy, and he'll check it.
Gotcha.
And he knows that. So if we work on this. If he checks to shakes versus too high, it turns into like a that, and it's great versus cover 2. You know, like if these guys were coming down or something like that, it's just a cover 2 reason.
Okay.
So.
And what's his progression?
Really, he's looking here. I mean,
Touchdown.
yeah, but he's kind of reading the strong safety.
Okay.
So as that one starts to sneak in, now he's getting here because you got to cover 2 kind of look to the back.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, 5-man box, but that's essentially how he's doing it. So yeah, he'll run shakes versus too high look. He'll run just old school curl flat versus a 1 high
All right.
look.
So
or if he feels like it's 3 roll.
you can leave it on.
He'll keep it as 96, just old school curl flat.
Okay, so do you allow your quarterback to make certain checks based on what the defense gives you, or are you like Mike Leach and Hal Mummy and kind of give them the whole playbook, or do you introduce little things?
Yeah, so actually
The short version now, because
I actually brought like
okay.
one of these play sheets.
Oh heck yeah!
Yeah,
Man.
so this is like what it looks like, and you can't see it, but this is like
Can
literally.
I hold it up to him real
Yeah.
quick? All right,
It's literally
just so you can see.
Yeah.
Can anyone see that? Am I doing it right? There we go.
Yeah, so like it's
That's nice.
essentially like mostly of it's plays with motions,
Okay.
and then the back has just all of our plays on it. So I change this up every week.
Okay.
So
So if your opponents are watching, sorry.
yeah, I change it every week, and we give different numbers every week. So, and we work on that. But like an example would be like and it doesn't matter if he sees this because it's all multiple plays. So like number 4, for example, is like ace, and it says 617, 619, 8 run. So he knows I got speed left, speed right, corner left, corner right, or run.
Okay.
And so he looks at the defense, and then he figures out which one of those.
So you give him like 3 plays, and he can
Yes.
kind of make based on what.
It's a check based on that. Now there's other times where I'll be like ace, think about, and then signal play. So he goes to the line of scrimmage thinking, okay, I got 95 on, for example. So say ace, think about 95. So he walks up and he's looking, okay, do I have that? Do I like that? Okay, I like it. No, I don't. What do I have? And so most commonly, like what we check to is quick games and 4 verts and runs.
Okay.
So he doesn't
So
necessarily.
that's game planned.
It's just
Whatever.
he
hear you,
does
man.
he doesn't sell on 7. So he
I hear you.
but it's just quicks. So he will hardly ever go from like 95 to 93. The only reason he would ever go from like 95 to 93, which we drew earlier, is if we're on the left hash and we're an ace running 95, and for some reason the safe, he gets a 1 high look. He's like, I got a post over there. Well, how do I do that? And he just checks with the 3.
Okay.
And then he goes through 93. Well, that's an easy way of thinking about it. But most of the time what he does is he checks into a quick game concept or a run.
And this is something I've actually seen. Do you still have those videos up?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
This is something you actually do
with
all
my
the time. This is not roll the ball, you know, in the middle
yeah.
of week 1 of fall camp, and you're like, hey, by the way, you can make this check. This is something you drill on daily, right?
Yeah, I get a quarterback on the board, and then I play a game with them. So, okay, I say pick a play. So he picks one of our plays, which there's not a whole lot of them. I mean, he say he picks 93, and so I say, okay, draw up ace, 93. So he draws up ace, and then I draw a defense for him. My first question to him is, are you keeping it or are you checking it? And so he looks at how I drew it, essentially on the board. I know it's not, on the field. He looks at it on the board and says, I'm checking it. Okay? Why are you checking it? Well, I just don't like the structure of it, and I know I got this. Okay, so what are you checking to? Okay, I'm checking to this. And then I'll draw my normal defense, whether say I drew this, and I told him, all right, you got 96. So he just draws ace, doesn't draw the play out, and then I draw this defense. I ask you, you keeping it or checking? He said, well, I'm checking it. Why are you checking it? Because I got split safety coverage. Okay, what are you checking to? Checking his shakes, okay? And then I'll draw my defense, okay? He sinks back, he comes down, he gets the curl flat, he sinks back, he does that. I'm throwing that one because your safety moved off.
Okay.
And that's it. So he kind of gets a mental rep and
then by the time practice actually rolls around, he's done this enough mentally that he kind of...
Yeah, the more you make him draw it and the more you make him think about it, especially draw it, make him draw it, the better they'll be at it.
Okay.
But yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, that's
I like
essentially
it.
how
I'll
it
never
goes.
do it. I'm not brave enough.
Essentially how it goes with quick game too, though. Quick game's the easy thing. Like
Okay.
That's really easy.
I'm glad you said that. I know we covered it before, but it got deleted.
Yeah.
Could you go over 618, and then after that, go over 618 post? Because you said previously about the 618 post when you're doing tags, you like it down there.
Yeah.
So could you go over it with the 618 first?
Mm-hmm. That's fine.
All right.
Let's draw. Okay. All right, so that's 618, which is kind of known as the stick play. And 618 is basically played off leverage of the mic. So 618 is not a play that I necessarily will call from the sideline. It's more of a play that this guy checks to. So and what he's looking for is leverage off that mic linebacker. So like in this situation where the F has outside leverage on the mic, it's a better play for us. And if the mic's kind of more over him, it's not. And then he'll, take a look maybe at his double slant side, or he'll check to something else. Again, this is another good look, though, to run the football versus if he wants to do that. So basically what he's looking for, the only reason he'll ever throw the vertical on the outside is if you get a press corner and he feels like he can take a shot. So he'll literally just try and throw it. If you got a safety more so over the top, he hardly would ever throw the vertical route. So now you're basically just playing the game off the Sam again. And if he, your Y wanted to stem basically to the inside shoulder of it, and then if the Sam works in with it, you shoot it to the back. If the Sam slides out a little bit with the tailback getting out wide, you're just shooting the stick route. If you got a cover 2 look and then a cover 4 look by your shell, you can throw the double slants to the cover 2 side. That works just fine. You can throw double slants if you know you're getting like cover 1 man.
Do you ever change up the quick game backside, or is it always?
It's always double slants.
Always double slants. Okay.
Yeah. And that's just a Mike Leach thing too. I mean, I do it exactly how he does it. That's all.
Really?
Yeah. There's nothing different really with me.
That's why I love talking to you.
Yeah, I do it basically exactly what he does.
So, and this is something I actually just learned talking to another coach. You have him stem inside.
Yes.
Right? I had him just going straight up, and that kind of messed everything up. But,
yeah, I get him in a little bit of the grass area. So
and that makes him make a choice.
Yeah.
Do you have to go with him, or
Yeah.
do you get and
You know, some people like scat. You know, at a 3x1, I
Uh-huh.
don't run scat, so I'm not gonna get into it. But like, if you got a guy here and you do the bubble in this, you're kind of getting the same thing. So.
that one, coach, is that one adjustment making him on stick or 618,
Yeah.
attacking that safety or that Sam linebacker's inside instead of just going straight up, made all the difference in the world this summer.
You know, I see a lot of people too draw it like that and then teach them to get back out, like
attack and then
go out. I'm not big on going out because I don't want two guys in the same spot.
Yeah.
Now he can slide away from the mic, so like he can come in here, and if that ball's not pegged to him, most times it's pegged, he can run the option. And Mike Leach calls it an option route. He doesn't call it a stick route. He's got the option, he's got the flat, he's got the vertical. So it isn't. That's what it is. But that's why he calls it that. So it can move out away from the mic.
Okay.
But this is.
You don't want them moving all the way like plant and then just
No. I don't. No, that freaks me out. I don't like two people in the same spot, obviously. So, again though, this is more of a play that's checked to by your quarterback based off leverage off the mic with your F.
Okay.
That's how it's done. This is a shoot. This is not a swing. Some people swing him. Some people shoot him. I shoot him. I shoot him basically.
We've changed it to a shoot as well, and it actually works a lot better. Okay. We can keep going.
I will say, if you ever watch Washington State run this, you can kind of see it coming because the F,
It's
like
up.
slightly before the ball snapped, will just motion a little bit out to where he's like almost on the outside of the tackle, and then they shoot him there.
Coach Bryce, he asked, do you ever put him on a swing, or do you always put the F on the shoot?
I mean, I think a line type of wrinkle, or if you play a team that, like I said, lines up. Like that, and they're essentially going to somewhat come down and roll it into 3 or play cover 1 or something like that. And it gets into, I like it on the goal line because what do you get on the goal line a lot? You get cover 0 a lot on the goal line. So that's basically it, the Z posts. And if I ever feel like I get something like that and the strong safeties coming really hard down on the stick, which, I mean, we get teams that line up like that. This almost looks more like a free. So I label safeties different too. So like if there's one high and he's truly one high, he's a free safety.
Gotcha.
I don't, if it's a too high shell, I don't call him a free safety because he's not alone. He's the weak safety versus the strong safety. So that's just how I label things. But if it ever became something like that, now we look for the post. Of course, again, if you're on the goal line, you get a lot of 0. If you got 0 or something like that, and it's just strong safety here, and I don't know, another Sam, Mike, Will, Rover, something like that down there.
Gotcha.
That's how I do it.
So he has to know, again, the slight adjustment that
this
that
is the
you have a
back
little bit.
line, and this is kind of the goal line. That's how we're catching it, hoping he sinks on that, obviously, and then
banging
you
it in
shoot
there.
it behind him.
Okay.
You kind of shoot it between the Sam and the strong safety in that hole. And he's taught to throw it to the back. I mean, if he throw it high and throw it
So
to the
either
back,
he catches it or
nobody
it's out of bounds.
catches it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And like
Gotcha.
I do have a landmark too. So if that's the upright, he's aiming towards that one. So he sticks and aims towards the.
And again, I steal from the best. That is something from our last talk that I've gone to.
Yeah.
Especially when we have the post going, I tell them, you break your post and you're looking for that upright.
Yeah.
And you'll get there, and that actually helps the quarterbacks because now he knows where these guys are going to go.
Yeah. Right. And we do a lot of we're on line 92 with a post down here too, because you get 0.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
some of the team, when the guy asked me what he liked certain things, certain situations.
This is one of them.
Yeah, when you get down here, you're getting a lot. So.
Okay. Coach Widener asked, how many yards are the double hitch, and what's the logic of running double hitch instead? Or I'm sorry, hold So I was talking about how we do things a little bit different.
Yeah, you always
backside.
done
I
double
do
hitch.
double hitch because my quarterback isn't comfortable throwing the slants.
Okay.
And that's the reason why I've changed it backside, because this is pre-snap for the quarterback. If he looks first, he's checking the corner. Is the corner off about 6 yards? Then he knows he's going to catch turn and he's going to throw that outside hitch. And the same thing, because most of the teams we run it just a little bit more than what y'all do. So we get actually a 4-2 box, and then they bump this guy out to this side. Mm-hmm. So if my quarterback sees that there's grass here, he's just going to catch turn and throw the ball that way. That's why we changed it to hitch.
And that's why I like slant in the same sense. So I mean, like
it's attacking the same.
Different, but yeah, if you got a Will and a Mike, instead of just running a hitch, if you did get a press corner,
and that is the thing.
I don't
that
like
we're kind of screwed.
Yeah, I don't like do that to hold him in here and then throw this one in the grass.
You're right.
That's it. That's my only difference.
No, you're right. And I don't know if you know Coach Kyle Richardson. He was a huge air raid guy here. Now he's up at Clemson. I heard him speak, and he actually said he does this now because he wants to have a man beater backside in case. Because he did do the hitches, and then they'd come up in your face, and then you're like, oh, crap.
And that's I see my double slants as like a man beater and a two beater.
Yeah.
So that, if it's hitches, that's how like, you're not going to throw the outside hitch on the cover two corner most likely, but if you get the slants, you can. So.
And that's why.
So slants is literally it's on the backside of 8, 8H, 618, 17, 19, all that stuff. Mike Leach double slants on the backside all the time. So then that's exactly what we do.
All right. Coach AW09, he wanted to know, do you change these up? Is this guy a one-step slant? This guy's a three-step slant? Are they both three-step, both one-step? How do you teach that?
I have gone over that with these guys depending on where these guys line up, how they line up. Like if he's over the top of him for some reason, it's a little bit skinnier to get into that. So it's like a one-step get in there.
Okay.
If he's inside of him like that, he tries to get around him to open that one up.
Okay.
So
you teach him based on where the defenders are? Mm-hmm. Okay. That's good.
Yeah. And
so there you go, Coach.
Yeah, we do it a lot too. Again.
Okay. One more thing before we go. I had a couple of coaches ask me, do you run the shallow series? And I know you do. It's not as prevalent, right?
No, it's that's one thing. Like shallow gets a lot of
attention.
Yeah, for air raid fans. I run it. It depends on the game. There's games where I've run it a bunch. There's games where I've not run it hardly at all. And again, just traditionally, if you watch Washington State, they don't run that a lot.
Okay.
You may see it, maybe once or twice a game.
Could you draw it up real quick? The last thing before the end of the stream. So, coaches, he's going to go over his shallow crossing series, and then that's it for that. We'll take some questions. If you have questions, please go ahead and ask them. We'll go through it. And then we'll try to wrap this thing up.
Shallow, I only run out of ace. Only an ace play. So, and this may be the first play we put in. So we can shallow anybody. So you can shallow the X, the H, the Y, and the Z. And depending on who's shallowed, it depends on where the back line's up to. So, like, let's just say we're running H shallow. That's the most common way. Well, I don't say that either. So, I have a tendency, I guess I'll throw this out. If I'm on the left hash, if I'm going to hash and I run shallow, I'll tag an outside guy.
Okay.
If I'm in the middle of the field and I'm running shallow, I most likely will shallow an inside guy. So, if I run H shallow, he's flat and right down line of scrimmage, and like I'll even teach them too that they can switch their stance up. So if the ball's on the inside, most of the time we put like a right foot up, I can tell them you can put your left foot up now. So your first step is flat.
So you get there.
So they go straight down the line. If they
nice.
go up at all, I don't like that at all. So, a lot of times too, what does the offensive lineman do? Well, they vertical set, right? So when they drop, it really is almost ran right through where the defensive line is. And the more depth you have between the shallow and the dig, the better this play is. If this thing gets, 5 yards deep and this one's 10 yards deep, the linebackers don't have to do anything. They just stand there and they can basically cover both of them. So you have to high-low them.
Yeah, this is the crazy thing. when we run mesh, I want them at 6, and they go shorter.
Mm.
When we run shallow, I want them to go short, and they tend to push it at 6.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
I actually put like, I have a kid snapping the ball when we do this. I put a cone down, like right there,
and so
and tell him run under the cone. And I mean, it's literally like right behind the kid snapping. So I'm always like, watch your feet.
Yeah, don't stick your foot out there.
Yeah, so I mean, like they got to do that. Anyway. So if you get that, I want the Y to outside release, and then now he can chop his feet and get flat. And I always tag the post over the top. So most, like, you know, Leach does not. He just keeps his verticals, but I've always just had it. So that's the post. And then there's your outside release go. And then I have the back cross the face and get to the flats that way. It's not a fake, it's just a flash. So he'll catch it and the back will just get across his face that way. If we run Y shallow, the back will be over here and he'll flash that way. If we run Z shallow, he'll be over here, he'll go that way. So, and basically, however you run shallow, if you run X shallow, the H has got the vertical, the X has got the mesh, or the shallow, sorry. If you run Z shallow, this is over here, and they flip it, if that makes sense. So
Okay.
it's, you know, like I said, this is probably the first play put in because there's 4 different ways you can run it. So, I mean, mesh is up there too, but just because there's so much learning. You really learn like 4 plays.
Now, one question.
Mhm.
Why do you like the post over the dig instead of the post coming opposite the dig?
Okay, so
Because I know we've had this discussion big time. My other coaches, we had some knockout, drag out arguments about this thing, and
so the one way to do it, like I know a lot of people have talked about, like post the side, you know, of which whoever's covering the dig. So, like if this one's covering the dig, you can post that side.
you can tag that.
Yeah, I get that idea. But like at the same time, when you're doing that, by the time you notice this thing, I just think it's kind of like, this is all in sight, right?
You're looking at this side.
Yeah, when you're posting a dig or throwing a post over here, now you're going from here to that. I mean, realistically, his eyes are going to be in something like that sight, right?
Okay.
So how are you going to feel that?
Gotcha.
If it's over here. If it's here, now it's an easier read too, because you just find the strong safety first. If he's flat-footed or anything at all, you're
Then you
throwing
just
it
throw
over
it.
the top. We throw that a lot too for some reason. I don't like that. I'd rather throw the shallow.
Gotcha.
But like in high school, that post is like.
You give high school kids the option of going deep. They're going to go deep a lot.
Yeah.
Even when
but
you're
I mean, like in
look at
high
this.
school, like these kids have a bad tendency of not dropping. You know, so I mean, I don't know, but. Or they, you know, a lot of teams play like match read, right?
And they just sit there.
So
They
at match
bounce
read,
a couple
they're
of
taught to
times.
lock at a certain depth. So like once he gets to 10 yards, you lock on and you turn. Well, if he locks on,
Wide open.
now it's, you
Yeah.
know, well, yeah, you're getting the shot. You're getting
Yeah.
a one-on-one shot with the corner. So basically, you get from here, he sinks, cool. Now you play the game off the Sam, and I teach the Y to read the mic. This is a harder look again, but the Y will read the mic. If the mic drops straight back, it turns into more of a curl. If the mic runs at the dig, it comes flat across. So, you know, I'll play the mic in in routes on air when we do this. And I'll drop straight back sometimes and he'll curl it up. I'll run at him and he'll come across. But the Y's got to get his eyes on the mic. This is easier against a 4 down front on something like that. But anyway, so say he sinks back, then you get to the shallow. The shallows don't stop. They always continue to run. You can throw a shallow out here, you know. And if you don't like that, so it basically becomes 1, 2, 3, 4. This gets lost. And I think by doing that little movement, it moves him out so you don't get that and necessarily a run through.
Okay. I had 2 questions that the coaches had. One, let me make sure I say the name right. Coach Philly Eagles fanatic asked, "Do you ever play action this? Play action have them?
No.
You're not a big play action guy, are you?
No, we've
Well,
played.
you have to run the ball
Yeah,
that much.
Yeah, right. I told him that one too. I was like, we got to run it more if we were going to be really good at play action. But it kind of, Yeah, we don't necessarily play action on shallow. It's just a flash fake. So
Gotcha. And then the second one, Coach Butler from England. Welcome, Coach. Do you always mandatory outside release the fade, or do you allow him to? It's always outside.
Yeah, because the back's coming.
Gotcha. So there you go.
And he can throw the vertical.
Do you
shallow.
do you
if he
tag
got
that?
like 0 or
You let him go, because that was a couple other questions.
yeah, he'll
in
throw the
chat. They
vertical
wanted
if he
to
gets
know.
pressed or he gets a
You let him
one-on-one
take a shot.
matchup and he can take a shot on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we
But
go.
that's the only time he'd ever throw the vertical. So most of the time he keeps his eyes within this framework. Plus, when you tag this side, it takes a long time. Like if this one was to post, I mean, by the time you kind of got off that, realized that one was back, I just feel like sometimes you throw it
Okay.
across the field. I like it all in sight.
Gotcha.
And this one hits right now. Because this one
It could take a little bit.
can sink and then come up on this, right? Because he's going to drop. Oh, that showed up and then
it causes hesitation.
I just don't like
Yeah.
a little bit of it being blurry. If it's right here, it's real clear. And it's in the line of sight. So that's my take with it.
Okay.
But yeah, I know people that post over there. I just don't.
Gotcha. All right. So there you go, coaches. There's the shallow. I was about to call it F shack. That's the end zone terminology. But let's take some questions real quick, and then we'll wrap it up. Coach Widener, well, if we could just do this just real quick.
Okay.
Asked about 95.
Okay.
If you could just do it out of 2x2,
Okay.
the Y cross. So here you go, Coach. He doesn't really bubble because I know a lot of teams, he wants that H where you run the out. He changes it up. He doesn't run a 5-yard out. He actually does a 10-yard out, and I got that from him. And it kills defense, especially if they do the cover 4. It's almost like the same thing back here. So this is how he runs it, and I would actually advise if you're going to go, I would run it like this. This is actually beautiful.
Yeah. So it's over the Sam, over the Mike. So yeah, it's true. 95. True progression. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the reason I don't like the option route right there is because it doesn't time up with the quarterback's feet in true progression. So if he's running 95, I want him to go 1, 2, 3. He's looking here, hitches to this one. So a lot of team guys that do that, it's awesome if you get that as a hot. Like if you don't have a wheel standing over your H. I'm going to have a wheel standing over my H. I know that.
Yeah.
So I'm not, if I want to throw a speed out, I'll throw 617 on. If I'm throwing 95, I'm trying to throw the ball downfield a little bit. So, at times with the feet, if you can go 1, 2, 3, and then you hitch into a 10-yard out, that's much more natural than going 1, 2, 3, and then hitching into an option.
And it's the same thing
or a
with
3-step hitch route.
with the eyes. You're going. It's 1 to 2. It's 1 to 2 instead of 1 down here and then
back up. Yeah,
here.
it's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Once you get past here, everything is kind of on the same level,
Yeah.
which actually helps.
And this thing has the option, like Coach Clark was talking about. I mean, if for some reason this was squatted, it can curl up both thumbs there. Like not a comeback quite.
Gotcha.
It can settle. This thing can somewhat settle in here. It can run, but I do like it to get flat. So I do like it to go under the Sam, over the mic, and get flat underneath the weak safety. And I stress the get flat, get flat, get flat. I know a lot of teams like to run it across, but I don't. I just am afraid of if it continues to drift, I think that's easier to undercut with the weak safety.
Gotcha.
Whereas if he drops and you get flat underneath him, now if you throw it and he throws it right at that weak safety, it's boxed out a little bit.
Okay.
So that's what I like. And if he doesn't like that, again, you're getting right back to your Sam, and you're playing the game of essentially a post dig or post curl around you're curl flatting the Sam. So yeah, it's true progression of 1, 2, 3, 4.
And if they get a couple of coaches were asking about pressure. If he gets pressure, this is the hot right here.
Yeah, I mean,
Or is this one that you call knowing?
we got one over there with 4-man slide it again. Like if for some reason we got an overload and you just go through your progression.
Okay.
So if you're bringing more than that, you're probably gonna peg the Y right over the ball, or
I know that. I don't know. Have you read Hal Mummy's The Perfect Pass?
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's either that or stretch the cornfield. I can't remember, but this was actually in 95. This was the hot.
Yeah.
And he actually let him. That I think it was Stretch the Cornfield. Amazing book if you can find it on Amazon. If this guy right here, they did it so much, knew that they were blitzing, this actually would turn into a slant, and the quarterback would actually know, and that's
how I ran it in college. Is when I played quarterback in college the same way too. So if I got that, we just pegged it. And so if for some reason he gets that on this play, he would have to just kind of replace the blitz.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
and a lot of people don't know that with the air raid, they kind of do have a little bit route adjustments, just not a lot with the run and
like
shoot.
That, I mean that's not a set route. It's a post dig, but
it's
finding grass. 98% of the time it's post curl.
Gotcha.
So I mean it's taught as a post dig. It's post dig versus man, but who's gonna play man to us if they do it? Say post dig. So,
gotcha.
And they know that if he's running with you, run away from him.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's how we do it.
Couple more questions.
I do teach that to get under the strong safety too. Like I'd like to get it as deep as I can, but 15 yards maybe.
All right. So one more, and then we'll go. Coach Clay Baker asked, and this is the last question, coaches. What's your summer install like? You don't have to go over everything, but do you subscribe to the 3-day install like most air raids?
Yeah.
So do you have like one drop back, 2 quicks, and then a run, and a screen, or?
Care if I just draw it
No,
out.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So this is kind of how I do it. So I do formations, and I have ace, early, late, green, blue, empty, lucky. And so basically I'll do like, this would be day 1, this would be day 2, and then that would be day 3. So like we get in a new formation every day, and then with the drop backs, we have 91, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and again we just split it into 3s. So like we may go, these are day 1, these are day 2, and these are day 3. Just an example. And it's the same thing with our quicks, which our quicks are not, that's 17, 18, that's both ways, 18 and 18H, 19, 8, both ways, scissors. And like 17 and 18 will be the same day.
Okay.
18H may be another day, and then 8 is the third day. So that may be 1, 2, and 3. Scissors we'll probably put in another time. But that's it. And then runs, we have
inside and draw.
Yeah, inside and ISO, and then those will go 1 and 2.
Okay.
So that's it. So like the first day, it's just ace early and late, and we're working on just 91 and 92. And we're working on just speed outs and quick game. That's it.
And that's it.
So, I mean,
and then once you get to the third day, you go back and you repeat the first day?
No, the fourth day, we'll kind of mix them up. Well, we'll start to mix them a little bit on day 2.
Okay.
So, but that's, it's not hard. I
mean,
like literally, if you think about, you line up in trips and 2x2, you learn 2 drop backs, 1 quick, and 1 run.
That's
so,
it.
And you can do it in 3 days. That's kind of how we do it. Like 90, and a lot of these things are easy. Like 97 is only a 3x1 play for us. We have a 97. Mike Leach is not. That's only a 2x2 play. 17 and 19 are the same play, just different sides. You run one way, run the other way. So that's it.
All right.
It's not hard.
So there you go, coaches. And there we go. Thank y'all for coming. Again, toward the end, I'm Coach Ron Mackey. This is Coach Drew Piscopo. Thank you for spending an hour and 40 minutes with us talking about the air raid. If this is your first time, please subscribe to my channel. I'll put a video out every Saturday at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time in the morning. Coach's Twitter account is linked below in the description. Also, if you want to learn more about the air raid, I have some books down there that you can click and read, some really good books. And until next week, coaches, let's continue to master the spread, score points, and have fun.